Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone, and thanks for joining today. We're looking at pupil voice and creativity in the classroom. So I obviously take you through the session. It is quite a full-on session. I should sort of allude to that there is a lot of content that I will go through. I have tried to strategically pull it all together into a theme so that hopefully when you actually do sort of think, okay, how could I use that tool within my classroom, that this actually will give you a sort of meaningful objective behind it. So hopefully this will sort of spark some ideas around what we're actually going to be looking in. So I did decide that we'd go in with the space theme. This is partly because I'm working with Year 5 at the moment, and this is one of the topics that we are looking at currently. So it's all around that space theme. So I do recognize that this may not be the subject area that you're focusing on right now, but hopefully if you're looking at another topic, then equally you can take this and use it to sort of spark how some of the tech tools that I'll introduce to you will actually intertwine into that. So first thing that I'm going to jump into is Screencastify, and I won't sort of show these examples now, but these are just some student examples of using it in a maths lesson. There are lots of reasons we can use Screencastify to record our screens. It can be fantastic to demonstrate our learning and just to visually talk through something. But it's also really good if you found a video that you'd like to use and actually that you want to sort of talk through that video in your own voice. So we often find great videos, and it could be that they are Americanized or they go through content that is quite prescriptive and goes through a lot of content. And it could be that actually, you just want to give them a little snippet of the video. So we can use Screencastify to do that, and we can actually just simply mute the audio on the video and then talk through over the top. So Screencastify, I can just simply tap on to the extension at the top, and you can see that I get some options when I do go in to record. So I can either go in and present my whole screen, and this is really useful if you need to show anything that is used on the app shelf at the bottom, or if you want to show any settings. It's really helpful to be able to use that. Otherwise, you can go in and present just a browser tab. So if you want to just present a individual tab, this is where you could go through and do that. If you want to do a quick little webcam video, you can do that as well. So I am just going to go in with my desktop, and I'm going to use my microphone. I'm not going to add my webcam in, but what this does is it just adds a little image in the bottom so that they can actually see you talking over it. And if you go into the more options, you can actually go through and also annotate over the top. So today we are going to be learning all about our solar system, one of over 500 in the Milky Way. And this that you're seeing right now is the view of the Milky Way from the International Space System. You can see just how small it is in comparison to the galaxy that you can see around. So when we look at the Milky Way, and then you can see that solar system, okay, that's broken down, it's only 15% of stars host planets. So what I've just done is I've just paused that video that I'm making within Screencastify. It's now gone into the planets. So again, I may like to come back and then hit record. So there are 8 planets within our solar system that are made up of 2 varying categories, terrestrial and Jovian planets. And we have got them in order, so Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And then we go into those other planets as well. So these ones don't have any rings, they are relatively small. So hopefully you've got that idea of just how easy it is to actually go through and talk through a video so that it is more personalized in that context there. Once you've finished your little screencast, you can then just stop that video. And what it will do is it'll add it into a new tab. So you can see here that that video is being processed. I could go up here and name it so I can easily find it. So I'm just going to call this a video, like so. And I'm going to come back and show you how we can then pull all this together at the end. So that's just to show you very quickly how you can use that to sort of adapt any content that you have. You may also like to use it as a way to demonstrate or show anything. I'm just going to quickly come back to my Meet tab and just mute. So I've just seen. Okay, perfect. So that's how Screencastify works. The next thing that I'm going to take you into is, let me just jump back in here, is Flipgrid. Now, Flipgrid is fantastic for really in sparking that creativity and pupil voice within your lessons. I was having a conversation with another teacher earlier about why we really need to sort of utilize this tool. And the reason for that is that often in a lesson, it's very hard to go around and listen to all 30 children's voices, opinions, ideas around a certain area. Let me just come back in. Sorry about that. We had someone on the door. So it is really important to actually allow that opportunity for pupils to share their voice and to be able to listen to their ideas. So for this one, what I thought I would do is I would set up a Flipgrid, which you can all go in and respond to. So let me just come back in here. So what I thought we would start with doing is a quick little Flipgrid response. If you could choose any planet that you would like to visit, which would you choose and why? So if you've never used Flipgrid before, you'll see here that this will be the page that I'm going to share with you so that you can jump in and record your responses. You will need to sign in with Google, as you've just seen here. So it'll ask you to join with Google. It'll come up and you can then just simply sign in. And this is the screen that you're taken to. You're then going to go on to record a response, and you will see that I've actually set these up to be moderated. You can obviously keep those videos completely open. So if you want children to be able to see each other's responses, then you can actually toggle that off as well. I've just done it so that you have confidence to record your video without sort of anyone else going in and seeing that. So when you go in to record a response, what you'll see is it comes up and says you have 2 minutes to record your video. I could obviously change this, so I could specify you've only got 30 seconds up to 10 minutes as well. So if I want to change that length, I can do so. You'll notice that at the top in the right-hand corner here, I can bring up that response as well. So if I struggled to remember what it was that my criteria was for my video, what I needed to include, I can go in and tap on that book there. Now, if you've never used it, I'll just quickly show you. Down the bottom here, you do have some options. So if you'd already created your video using another platform, you can use that upload video option. You can also mirror the video. So if you want to show exactly what it is that you're seeing when you look into the camera, you can use that. You can also mute. So if you want to do a video without any sound, you can do that as well. And equally, you can record directly within Flipgrid as well. So if you wanted children to respond to a maths problem, or you wanted them to complete a sort of spelling or word check in the day and understand, you can get them to share their projects of what they've been doing directly within Flipgrid. So it almost essentially becomes that virtual gallery walk. I often walk into a classroom and they want to do that gallery walk. Flipgrid is another fantastic way to be able to do that gallery walk digitally, because they can record their screen. They can record themselves talking through a project that they may have done and then upload this to a wall where everyone can see. And then on the effects down here, this is the bit that our children always love to go into, is you've obviously got different filters that you can use. So you can see here, if you do have any children that maybe aren't so confident or don't like themselves being seen, that they can then use that pixelation option, or they could go in maybe sort of with a green machine. I like this one for a sort of space theme vibe. And you've also got frames as well. So if you wanted to go in with a frame, you can go through and use that as well. So we could do a sort of quick news report at the bottom there if you wanted to. And you've also got emojis as well. So you could add emojis directly over the top. Again, another sort of space theme one is that astronaut's helmet there. So we can just line that up on top and then record our video. You can also go in and draw. So if you wanted to draw or annotate, you can do that. And you also have a whiteboard, which is fantastic for using to quickly demonstrate anything that way as well. So if you are doing a math problem, it can be a great tool to do that. All you need to do is just simply record your video. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to record those videos. If not, I am going to come back in with my screen and just show you now. So as those Flipgrid videos are then added, what you'll notice is that there is a video submitted option that shows that the video has been added. And when I come in as a teacher, I can see that video there. And I can also see how many responses have been added to that video. Again, what's really nice about this is that it's a great way to see why children may have liked going to a planet, and then use this to sort of spark conversation around, you know, why do we choose a particular planet and why? And they can then respond to each other's videos as well. So again, you could go through and you can share it. So you could actually share that direct link to an individual child's video. And again, you can also use the embed option, and I'll come back to why we might use this sort of in the end as well. So as I said, you know, one of the other great things about Flipgrid is that there is a built-in immersive reader. What this does is that if you're adding in any prompts, so for example, this one here, and you have any children that may struggle to read through or understand that task, they can actually have that prompt or question added in there directly. So it's a really helpful way to be able to do that. So what I'm going to jump into now is I'm just going to pull back in my slides. And again, I will share these resources so that you can actually see some other examples. But hopefully this just ties it all together into that space theme that we'll finish up with. So the next one that I wanted to have a quick look at is Adobe Spark. Now, Adobe Spark has 3 apps that sort of intertwine together and can be used for lots of different things. So to get onto Adobe Spark, we just go to spark.adobe.com. And what this then comes up with is some different options of different ways that you can actually tell your story. So you can see at the top here that there is the collage. So if you're doing any graphics, posters, this is a really helpful way to do that. You then have your web page or presentation. So you'll notice that the colors sort of match together that give you the idea around. And that's where you're creating sort of that web page or that site for lots of information. So it's really helpful if you're doing that to use it as a way to sort of drive forward lots of information. So if you want to present lots of information in a different way, that's one way that you can do it as well. The other way that we often like to utilize is either the slideshow or the portfolio. Again, you'll notice that they are both of those video format options. Now, when you open it up, it will ask you for that story prompt. So I'm going to go in and talk about space. And then again, it will come up with a prompt. So it'll ask me if I wanted to use one of these that is already here. This can be a helpful way if you're trying to sort of tell the journey of a character, you're trying to explain a event, or if you want to sort of go through and model a lesson or an invitation, I always like to go in starting from scratch. Again, it will take a little bit of time to load up. And it will always sort of come up with a quick tips video. So if you've never used it before, this is a really great way to sort of walk away and have some kind of understanding. So one of the great things about Spark is just that quick, simple way to create a video. So I can go through, you'll notice at the bottom here that there is a credits tab. I can actually hide this. So if I don't want that to show, that's how I can just simply hide that one at the bottom there. On the right-hand side here, you'll see that there are 4 main sort of types of layouts that you can use. So I'm actually going to start with a title and text, and I'm going to go in with the planets. And I can add in my name if I want to down the bottom here, like so. Again, this is just a really helpful way to sort of keep up with who's doing what in terms of their work. You can also then go in and very quickly move around any of the text, and you'll notice that it sort of auto aligns for you, and you can always make any of that text bigger or smaller as well. So if you don't want that to be as big, you can go through and do that. To add a new slide in, you just simply use that plus. But I actually want to put in an image first. So I'm just going to go into photos and then use the find free photos on here. So I can go in and search for planets. And I'm actually going to go in with this one here. Actually, maybe this one. So once I've got them in there, I can then move on to that sort of second one. So what I thought I'd do for this one here is actually to go in and create a mnemonic on how to remember the order that the planets go into. So I can go into photo and I'm going to start by just simply searching for our first planet. Now, as you can see, often what will happen is we won't find exactly what we're looking for. So we have to be sort of a little bit more creative. So I actually might just go in simply with some sort of space-themed images rather than just specifically about the name of the planet that I'm looking for. I could always go in and use an icon instead. So if I wanted to, you can see here, that actually when I do go in with that, I do get some sort of more aligned icons as well. So I could actually use that if I wanted to. And again, those icons, I can then position that if I wanted it to appear on a different way. So I could use that layout option, and I can then split that screen so that I could have, for example, my image on one side and go in with my text on the other. So this is where I might go in with the names of the different planets. Like so. And what I can then do is simply record over the top. And to record, I just use that red record button and I press and hold it whilst I'm talking. It will ask for my microphone. My very excellent mother jumps stars up north. And again, if I didn't like that recording, or maybe I didn't like the mnemonic that I used, I could just simply press and hold that red button to record over the top. If ever I wanted to delete it, I can just tap on the time and then remove that narration. And I may even go in for my next one And what I might do here is actually to add an image. So I'm going to go in with space. And let's see. So I could go in and actually start to record each one. So if I wanted to sort of separate them out and then record over the top, or maybe I wanted to go in and add some additional information, this is where I can go through and start to populate that information during, okay? All it takes then is I can go obviously over and I can change the themes, I can resize it, I can add music. All of those things I sort of try and keep away, especially if I'm just after a very quick task that I want to create. And then I use that share option and I always go up to publish at the top and then create link. Now, this is the little bit that takes a little bit of time to obviously process that video through and condense it all down into one sort of usable link that can be used then. So it could be uploaded to Classroom. It could be sort of used later on in ThingLink, which is what we're going to do in a moment as well. So as I said, there are lots of different ways that you could do this. It could be that you create a poster about that information about space that you've been learning about. It could be that you decide to upload your own videos. So for example, we went through and recorded that video at the start. I could upload that into Adobe as well. I just need to make sure that I export that video first. And one of the other tools that I'm just going to jump into is Toontastic. Now, if you haven't seen Toontastic before, I am going to show you now what this looks like. Let's just go in again. Now, the one thing that you'll miss is obviously the incredible sound effects that happen and come through when you do use Toontastic. Now, one of the benefits of this is that it's very easy to go through and tell a story. So it works on Chromebooks, so it's super easy to be able to use and actually to document either a story. It could be to talk about something, a key event in history. So there's lots of different ways that you could tie this in. So we're going to go in with a space-themed story. And you can see here that I could go in with a simple short story, just with 3 parts. I could do a classic story, so if I wanted to make that longer. I could also do that science report as well. I am just going to use a simple short story. And what you'll notice now is this will then come through with the beginning, middle, and end of that story. So I just simply tap on the beginning, and that will then start off. And what's nice about this is the bit that you don't hear is that it does actually prompt you and just say in that process, this is the beginning. It is where you document the setting and the characters of the story. So we could go in depending on sort of what our theme of our story is. So we've got space there, which is perfect. So I'm going to go in with that. And then you can see that there are different characters that you can choose from. And you can also add your own. So you do get that option to draw your own character as well. So if actually the characters don't meet what you're after, you can go in and use that draw your own. And you can also personalize any of these characters. So you'll notice that it does come up. I could go through and change things like the colors, like so. And I could also go in and snap a photo if I wanted to as well. And we can select our characters that we want to add in. So I'm just going to go in with 2 characters and perhaps a robot as well. And I could obviously go in and draw my own character if I wanted to add that in as another option as well. So you can see here that it does come up. So if you wanted to use that, you can always go through and use that option. But I am going to use those characters for mine. And what's nice is that these characters then appear, so we can actually position them where we want them to be shown. So I'm actually going to have that one there. And you can see as well, I can just simply pinch to enlarge on that screen as and when needed. I tap on start, and what this will do is it'll actually record my voice and record any movements that happen within the story. One day, there were two astronauts getting ready to head up into space. They were checking because not everything seemed to be looking a-okay when they were going through. So they wanted to make sure that they could check and see what was going on the shuttle. It will then give you the option to add in some music as well. So if you want to add some music to sort of spark what's happening in the story, you can do that. And you can change that as the story goes through. And then you press the tick, and then you can move on into that middle section of the story. So this is where they tell you the middle is where the problem is. So what is the problem that has just happened? Okay. So what you'll see now is actually that journey moves along. So rather than it being at the start, we're actually now inside. So you can see there that we can actually move around. So again, I can choose the specific characters and add them in. And I'm actually going to come around this way this time. So again, you can see that we're going to be sort of inside like so. Now I'm actually going to pop him lying down. Oh no, where is B10 gone? I'm not sure. Let's go and find out. There he is. B10, what's wrong? I can't get up. So you can see there that it allows children to sort of think and be creative about how they actually tell their story and go through that process. And then that final part is the end. And this is obviously where we wrap up that story and sort of decide what it is that's going to happen. So again, you may decide that actually, do you know what, we want to use a different part. So it could be that they've suddenly gone up in the spaceship and ended up elsewhere. Or you could go in and draw your own. So I'm actually going to go in and draw my own for this one, just to show you very quickly. So we can quickly pop in a background and we can select a color. So I could go through and very quickly add this in. And I'm just going to call this the sun. And again, I can just select, oh, those same characters that we just had. Let me come back. There we go. And again, you'll see that those characters suddenly appear. Oh no, where are we now? What can we see? Let's see what might happen. And again, obviously, you know, your storytelling skills will sort of develop as you go through. So being able to plan out what's going to happen in that story, this is definitely not a good story, but just to show you that you can go through those elements. You can always add in an extra part. So if you wanted to add something more in, so for example, maybe I didn't have enough of a part of my story. So for example, my end wasn't very good. So I might actually decide, you know what, let's add a final end in so that the story makes sense. So we can spark that sort of moment as we go through and give that feedback so that they understand, okay, actually we need to add something else in so the story makes sense. Once that's done, we just simply tap on finish, and I can just call this Space Adventure. And then I can just tap on OK and press the tick, and then that video is then finished. It will obviously start playing that video, so I can just press that X to close it, and then I get that option to export the video. So this will then save it to my photo library so that I can then use it. So the final thing that I'm going to come into now to show you is ThingLink. And for those of you that haven't seen ThingLink before, you may have seen things similar where you've been given, say, a training module and you've had clickable links directly within that require you to access that information and complete things within. So you can see here an example of having a form directly embedded in, having a video directly embedded in. So what's nice about this is that if you're delivering a lesson where you want to have various content that your children can access, and you don't want to just simply upload them as links in Classroom, this means that you can set it up in a way so that they can have that visual of whatever the topic is. So it could be the planets, it could be the solar system, it could be any topic that you're doing. You can have all of that content in one place that they can quickly go through and access. And obviously, if you have embeddable content, like some of the ones that we've used today, this means that it will directly add it on to the top. So all I need to do is go to thinglink.com. This will then come up with this option here. Now, I have to actually find the image that I'm going to use first. So in the means of obviously saving us some time, I've already found one. So I just use that create option, upload image, and then I've got a spaceship here with the planets ready for me to use. Now, what's nice about this is obviously I can go in and find any image. If I've already got, say, for example, a poster or a page that I want to use, maybe some slide content that I want to actually add and to be interactive, I can do that as well. And then on the left-hand side, it's very easy to use. You've got the add tag option. So this is where I can embed content, and I can also upload content as well. So if I wanted to go in first with my Screencastify video that we did, you can see in here that I've got a couple of options. So when I go in and use Screencastify, I can either get the embed code, which is what we're going to do. I could also download this or export it as an MP4 and then upload that directly within to ThingLink as well. So I'm actually just going to use that embed code option, and I can copy that, and then I can come into my ThingLink here. And actually what I'm going to do is come in with add content from website. And you can see there that that video is then playable directly within. So I could add a play icon because it is a video that I want them to watch. So again, I can pop that in and I can position it anywhere that I want them to access. So the next thing that I'm going to do is with my Adobe Spark. So you can see we went through and made a very quick Adobe Spark video. I think it's important to remember that, you know, when we do anything with video, that not all videos are long. And we know that our children love spending time watching YouTube. They spend a lot of their time accessing content on there, and not a lot of their videos are long. So it's important to sort of understand that a video doesn't have to be long, and actually some of the best videos are less than 2 minutes anyway. Again, with this, I could copy that shareable link. If it was, say, for example, just a collage, maybe I'd want to just use that. Again, I can always come in and copy that embed code, which means then I can come in and I can use that embed content option. And again, what you'll see here is that clickable Adobe Spark video. So for this one, again, I am going to go in with that play option, and I'm just going to use a different color so we can clearly tell which one we're working with. So we've gone through, we've used our Adobe Spark, we've used our Screencastify video that I created as my teacher input at the start. And then we also have our Toontastic video. Let me just jump in. Let's try that again because it hadn't had a chance to finish off. Just give it a little bit of time. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, so that video is now exported. So what I can do now is actually I'm going to go in with the add text and media because I want to upload that video. So I can just go in Toontastic video, adventure story. I can go in and add some further information. So like so. And then you can see in here that I've got that image or video option. So I could go through and add an image next to it, but I'm actually going to go in with that video. So again, I can just simply upload that video, and what you'll notice is that video is then there and can be clicked on to enlarge. And you can see that audio is coming through, obviously, because that video is then playing. What I can then do is come through on here, and I may like to change my icon so we can add that in. And again, I can go through and just very quickly embed that directly on. So we've then got our Adobe Spark, we've got our Screencastify, and we've got our Toontastic. Now, what I might like to do, because I know that not everyone had a chance to record their Flipgrid responses, is I may actually like to add the link in to record their Flipgrid response. So again, if I just come back to my teacher panel here, when I go into share, again, I can just simply use that embed code. And then what this will allow me to do is I can go in and add content from the web. And again, what's nice about this is that they can actually record their response directly on that Flipgrid. So they don't have to leave, go and access something else. They can actually just click on it, open it up, and respond to it. So for this one, I'm going to use the microphone so that they know that they actually need to go on and record their own pupil voice in there. So I know that I've obviously very quickly gone through each of these tools, and it hasn't been a sort of this is how you use it, because we've got so many videos where we've gone through the actual how to use this tool. What I wanted to try and do tonight was actually to show you how you can pull it all together and actually that benefit of being able to utilize some different tools. It doesn't mean that you need to actually go and use all of them in any one given lesson, because obviously pupils need to sort of work their way around these tools. But that's just to very quickly show you that you can then add and embed that content directly in, so that we save children having to click between multiple apps. And again, I can continue to sort of up level this content by going through and adding some information about each of the different planets. So this is a task that I did with Year 5, and we actually were looking at coastlines, and we were asking them to go through and label the different areas that they could identify on the coastline. And as a teacher, you could actually set up this as a template for them. So you could go through, add text and media, and label the different planets. And then the description's left blank because you actually want them to go through and add that in. So I would just simply go through, I would use those tags so that they could actually go in and directly add their own content. So it's a nice way to set a task up for them, because they can easily go in and what's called clone, or make a copy of the task, so that they can actually go in and directly add their own information. Because for any of these, they can go on, they can go through, they can add images. So once they've found some images that they'd like to use, or a video that they may have created about one of those planets, they can go through and do that. They could also add a link to a website of information all about different planets. So for example, let me just stay on that one for a second. If you haven't seen this site here, this actually goes through the Apollo 11 landing, and it's actually the script of everything that was said during it. But what you'll notice is that it also goes into photos and video content as it goes through. So when you scroll through that content, you can see that this continues to change. So again, you can see as you pan around, it actually shows everything that was happening during that process. So it's really nice and an interactive way to sort of unpack what happened with that moon landing. So I could copy that link and I could actually add that directly in, again, as a add text and media. And I could just simply add that as a button URL, and I could say, click to learn about the Apollo 11 moon landing. And again, I could add an image in if I wanted to. And I've also got the upload audio. So if I wanted to give them, say, an instruction, or if I wanted to have any background audio playing, I can use that option as well here. So for this one, I'm actually going to put a number on, because that's maybe, for example, the first thing that I want them to look at prior to going into a content area. And then all I need to do is tap on the done button, and then this is then ready to share. So I can go up to share, and I can just use that shareable link. So again, I can upload this to Google Classroom so that everyone can see it. If I use the publish to social option as a teacher, so if I wanted then children in my class to have this and make a copy, that share on Google Classroom option means that they will be able to access it. And it always prompts you to remind you of who can view it. So you can see here, my organization setting requires a viewer to sign in. So obviously it just means that it is protected then. And when children go in, they can actually just press on the 3 dots and clone this and then use it to edit their own and add in their own content. So if you want to set up those experiences, it's a great way to actually bring everything that you do together. So I'm going to stop there. I know I've been talking for quite some time, and just check and see if there's any questions. Feel free to unmute or use the chat. Okay, if there's no questions, then I will leave it there and say thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful evening and take care.
Thanks.